Sometimes life throws us into a path where every door seems closed. Piles of medicines, long lists of doctors, the pungent smell of the hospital, and only hope, a long silence. At such times the mind asks, is this life? Is it just a matter of slowly waiting to break down, disintegrate, and end? But is life really so helpless? Is there no power within us that can pull us back from the brink of death? Are breaths merely exchanges of air, or do they hold the key to the universe? What yogis like Paramahansa Yogananda saw, heard, and lived transcends these physical limitations. For them, illness wasn't a punishment. It was an invitation to look within. And they demonstrated, explained, and demonstrated that if breath and consciousness are awakened, even a 20-year or even a 100-year-old illness can be brought to its knees. But these words aren't miraculous. They are an invitation to a journey. A journey where neither a doctor nor medicine is needed. Only an encounter with oneself. Dear soul, what you are about to hear is not a story. It is a true journey within yourself. Today's presentation will not merely provide you with information. It will shake your consciousness. On this journey, you will encounter everything you have turned away from. Your breath, your energy, and the miracle hidden within you that has remained dormant. This video is life-changing, provided you listen to it with complete devotion. When the body is afflicted with a disease, we first run for external help. But have you ever caught the moment when that disease first arose within you? You were unaware then. You did not even realize that a thought, a worry, a panic was taking shape within you, and that it gradually settled in some part of the body. Paramahansa Yogananda said that diseases are born not in the body but in consciousness. When consciousness is impure, the body becomes its mirror. This is not just something to be heard. This is the secret of life. Have you ever noticed that when you're afraid, your breathing quickens? When you're calm, your breathing slows. So, is there a direct connection between breath and mind? Now a question arises. If breath can change the mind, is it possible to reach consciousness through breath? An incident occurs in Yogananda's life. A man who had been suffering from an incurable disease for 20 years comes to him. He's exhausted, broken, and defeated by every treatment. Yogananda looks into his eyes and says, "You have considered yourself sick. Therefore, the body is now following the same command. First, let go of this belief, then breathe and draw your consciousness inward." The man performs a single meditation for a week. Every morning, without bringing any thoughts, he simply observes the breath. No mantras, no visualizations, just the breath. On the 7th day he awakens and feels it. The body is now light, the pain is gone, and the mind is completely calm. So the question is no longer whether breathing cures diseases. The question is, have you ever tried to understand your breath, or have you simply inhaled and exhaled it? Do you know what each breath does to your body? Have you ever observed deeply that the air you inhale also carries your mind, thoughts, and consciousness with it? Yogananda once said that breath is the bridge to the universe. If you understand this, you have touched the illusion. Now imagine if breath is a bridge, what are its two sides? On one side, this mortal body, and on the other, that immortal consciousness. So, what would happen if we began to walk on this bridge? Do diseases reside in your body or in your thoughts? When you meditate, is it simply sitting or a call to consciousness? Is the pain you have carried for years external, or has it taken up residence within you? Now, for the first time, the listener begins to descend within. There is a touch within. Not of words, not of thoughts, but of a feeling. Breathing slows and meditation deepens within. Now he realizes that the illness was only a shadow. The real disease was ignorance, and its true cure was awareness. This awareness is not found in books. It lies hidden in the seeds of breath, in the silence of meditation, and in the pulse of consciousness. When a person realizes that the cause of illness was in their consciousness, they don't just heal, they are reborn. And this is the first step toward the mystery that Paramahansa Yogananda lived. Now the next question arises. If breathing cures disease, can fate also be changed? Fate. A word that brings either a sparkle or pain to the eyes upon hearing it. Some say their fate is bad, while others say fate has elevated them. But is this fate a formula from outside, or is it also a wave of consciousness within us, flowing through our breath every moment? Paramahansa Yogananda said that fate is not a lottery. It is the old harvest of consciousness. As you sow, so you grow. But if you awaken, the next harvest can change from today. Now the question arises, is it possible to change fate? So how? Can breathing and meditation change destiny? Suppose you have a seed in front of you. If you give it the right soil, the right water, the right sunlight, and the right care, that seed will become a tree. But if you throw it on rocky ground, don't water it or take care of it, that seed too will curse fate. So, was the seed's fate predetermined? No. His fate was linked to his condition and care. just as the fate of our lives depends on the state of our consciousness. But how is consciousness cared for? There is food for the body. There is education for thoughts. But what is the nourishment for consciousness? The answer is simple: silent meditation and pure breathing. When we meditate, we are giving inner sunlight to consciousness. When we focus on breathing, consciousness is watered, and when we keep our thoughts pure, that seed germinates. There's an incident from Paramahansa Yogananda's life. A young man came to him who was repeatedly failing. He was lagging behind in studies, failing at work, and struggling in relationships. He asked, "Gurudev, is my fate so bad that I can't do anything?" Yogananda smiled and said, "Why do you curse fate? Have you ever observed your thoughts? What is your first thought when you wake up in the morning? Do you thank life as soon as you wake up, or do you rehash past failures?" The young man fell silent. Confidence returned. In a year, he became the most successful person in his field. What changed wasn't fate, but the flow of his consciousness. This raises a profound question. Can we truly write our destiny with our thoughts? Think carefully. Repetition of a thought creates belief. Belief leads to action. Action leads to results, and results lead to experience. Experience shapes life's direction, and that direction gradually becomes destiny. So, when you fill your breath with awareness, you are purifying your thoughts. When thoughts are purified, destiny transforms automatically. But then the question arises, if destiny is shaped by consciousness, can everyone change destiny, or does that require some qualification? Here Yogananda reveals a profound secret. The person who takes full responsibility for their life becomes its creator. This doesn't mean we control everything. It means we can control our reactions to every moment. Any situation you face cannot be of your making. But your reaction depends entirely on your consciousness, and this consciousness, this reaction, becomes the seed of your future destiny. Now, consider when a person suffers from illness for 20 years. Was it their destiny to remain ill, or was the seed sown with an old consciousness, and now it can be reversed with a new consciousness? This question is not merely philosophical, it is a life-changing formula. So now you have a choice. Either you continue to reap the harvest of your past consciousness, or from today, delve deep into your breath and sow a new seed, one of awareness, love, and self-awakening. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, "Your today is in your breath, your tomorrow is in your consciousness." If you combine the two, your destiny is now in your hands. The question is no longer what fate is. Now the question becomes, are you ready to become the creator of your own destiny from today? Creator. This word, as simple as it sounds, is as powerful. Because a creator isn't just an external architect. It's you who, every moment, is shaping a universe within yourself with thoughts, beliefs, and, at the deepest level, with your consciousness. But a question is essential here. If we are the creators of our own destiny, then why does suffering occur? Why does disease occur? And most importantly, why can't we free ourselves from it? Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, "You haven't seen your life. You've only endured it, so you haven't become a creator." One who has seen, recognized, and understood their life taps into the conscious power hidden within them, and then that consciousness becomes the creator. Now, think about building a house. Wouldn't you first draw a blueprint? Would adding bricks and stones without a plan create a house? No. So, when it comes to your entire life, are you living it without consciousness? Now, question your soul on this point. Is my life following the plan of construction that has been determined within me, or am I simply adding bricks to external circumstances? Understand this carefully. Disease, suffering, and failure are all the results of life's uncontrolled construction. They occur when the creator falls asleep, and life continues to be constructed spontaneously, without direction, without purpose. Paramahansa Yogananda once told a seeker, "What you think every day creates your world. Your thoughts are your bricks, your beliefs are your mortar, and your consciousness is the soul that inhabits this house." So now the question arises, if thoughts are the building blocks, can one wrong thought bring down an entire building? Yes, absolutely. Just as a crack in a wall can shake the entire house. Similarly, once you consider yourself helpless, once you consider yourself sick, once you consider yourself a failure, that thought becomes embedded in the grooves of consciousness. And then you continue to build the same thing within yourself. But the opposite is equally true. If you accept yourself as conscious, if you accept yourself as a child of illusion, if you accept yourself as a carrier of disease-free consciousness, then life begins to adapt accordingly. But this is where the seeker stops. He says, "I know, I understand, yet I cannot change." What? The answer is fortress, because merely knowing and understanding is not enough. Creation happens through experience, through love, through spiritual practice. Have you ever touched a wall with your palm? If the wall is smooth, you understand it's newly built. If it's rough, you know it has cracks. Similarly, your inner consciousness is also a wall, and can only be understood through experience. Breath is like the palm that touches the wall of consciousness. When you breathe mindfully, it doesn't just fill you with oxygen, it penetrates consciousness. Now ask yourself, have you ever experienced your breath as a creator, or do you breathe simply to live? Yogananda used to say that breath is the key that opens the door to the soul, and when the door to the soul opens, you yourself become Brahma, the creator. So the next step is not just knowing, not just believing, but living that consciousness. When you meditate, you take each breath mindfully, moment by moment, and in that moment say to yourself, I am the creator, I am not disease, I am consciousness. A new energy is born. That energy silently reaches your diseased cells, your tired thoughts, and says, now is the time for renewal. Life is now created through consciousness, through love, through humility, through meditation. And this is the secret that millions remain ignorant of. Now the question arises, if consciousness can create life, can consciousness also prevent death? Is death also a construct? Is death also a choice? Is death just the final culmination of an old idea? This is the secret we are now about to approach. Death is not just a word, but a wall that every life comes to a halt upon encountering. A silence that the world has turned into fear. But is death truly the end, or is it simply a chapter of life that we have never even bothered to read? Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, whoever has learned to live has also learned to die, and whoever has learned to die becomes immortal. This line isn't just beautiful to hear, it is the greatest truth of the universe. But the question is, can we know death without dying? Can consciousness reach a state where death seems like a mere veil? We all associate death with the cessation of the body. But is death simply the cessation of the body? Have you ever witnessed those moments when hope dies within someone, and then gradually their body begins to fail? So, does death first come within, then manifest externally? Now the question arises, does death begin with consciousness? The body is merely a symbol, a byproduct of consciousness. Just as the mind becomes sad and then tears flow from the eyes, similarly when consciousness becomes exhausted, the body succumbs to death. Paramahansa Yogananda once said, death is only for those who are asleep to life. Those who are awake can see death, communicate with it, and transcend it whenever they wish. Now imagine a seeker who has meditated for years, living in the rhythm of their breath, touching consciousness every moment. When they stand before death, do they tremble? No. He smiles because he knows that whatever it is, it's just a moment of changing clothes. A final experience in Yogananda's life journey is famous. In his final moments, he dissolved into consciousness. His body was calm, his mind was free, and his face was filled with a smile. Why? Because he had known death. Now the question is, can we also know death while alive? The answer is yes, and this is the greatest yoga of this life. When you enter meditation and your breathing slows, there comes a moment when the veil between body and consciousness is lifted. There are no thoughts, no fear, only silence. A complete, still, resonant silence. That silence is a premonition of death. But when you experience that silence, it doesn't feel like death. It feels like pure existence. Now the question arises, if death is silence, is death also a state of meditation? The experiences of many siddhas bear this out. Yes, one who witnesses death in meditation realizes that death is actually a doorway beyond which consciousness becomes freer and more expansive. But what does this experience require? Courage, practice, and dedication. When the practitioner becomes so one with their breath that they are inseparable, death becomes not a fear but the next step. Then they understand the body as a habitat, and death as a process of emerging from that habitat. Here, another question arises. If death is a state of consciousness, does consciousness continue beyond death? We will explore the answer in the next section. But for now, put one thing into practice. Death is not to be feared, death is to be known. For one who has known death truly experiences life for the first time. Existence is a word that can neither be fully understood nor fully expressed. For no language is sufficient to know existence, and to experience it, words are needed, not silence. When we say I am, who is within that I am? Is it the body? Is it thought? Or is it some other, unseen entity that sees everything but hides itself? Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, you are not just an individual. You are a wave of the existence of Brahman. Your body is a limited expression, but your consciousness is infinite. You've simply stopped seeing it. Now the question arises, can existence be known or can it simply be experienced? Imagine a river flowing by. Someone is sitting on its bank watching it. They might say, Yes, this is a river. But does they know where it comes from? Where it goes? Does they know the purity of its water? No. For them, the river is just a sight. But when that same person enters the river, feels its coolness, flows with the current, the river is no longer merely seen. It is now lived. Similarly, existence cannot merely be seen. It can be lived. And this living is only possible when breath, consciousness, and silence are joined together. Now ask your soul, have you ever touched that level of silence where you lose yourself? Where I and mind dissolve and only I remains. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, when you forget yourself, existence remembers you. Forgetting here does not mean oblivion. Forgetting here means the melting of ego, the shedding of layers of thought, and finally entering into silence where no identity remains. Now a profound question arises. If existence is so vast, so peaceful, so divine, why are we disconnected from it? The answer is simple, because we have turned breathing into a machine, making thought the master and ego the center. When a practitioner sits in meditation, the first thing they do is bring the breath back to life. Every breath is no longer just air, it becomes a message of existence. Every breath carries the vibration of illusion. Every breath carries the light of consciousness. Every breath carries an invitation to silence. But you might ask, how is this possible simply by breathing? Yogananda answers, when you begin to observe the breath, you become separate from it. And when you become separate from it, your witness awakens, and that witness is the first step to existence. So the question is, have you ever observed yourself breathing as a witness? Not with thought, not with words, but simply watching in silence, feeling as if a divine creation is unfolding. From there, the soul begins to merge with existence, and that union gradually eradicates disease, transforms destiny, and transcends death. This is no longer ordinary life. It becomes life. A moving samadhi, an awakened meditation, a continuous existence. Here, everything moves, but within, everything is silent. This is yoga. This is samadhi. This is the ultimate identity of existence. Now the question is not what existence is. Now the question is, can you make yourself available to existence? Can you endure the silence where you are not present? The witness who sees but does not connect. Who experiences but does not react. Who sits within like a saint, who sees everything in silence but touches no one. The witness is the point from which existence can be known. It is the center where body, mind, and soul are clearly visible as separate entities. But this witness is not awakened in normal conditions because all our energy either flows towards the body or remains trapped in the entanglements of thoughts. Now the question arises, if the witness is the center of our consciousness, then why is it not awake all the time? Paramahansa Yogananda says that witness consciousness is like water. If waves of thoughts continue to rise, the reflection will remain blurred. But as soon as the water calms down, it reveals itself and the sky. Now ask your soul, have you ever gone within and observed where thoughts arise from? Have you ever tried to stop them without fighting? Fighting thoughts makes them stronger. But when you simply begin to observe them without judging them, without reacting, they suddenly begin to weaken. This is the beginning of witness consciousness. Now imagine yourself standing at a train station. Trains are coming and going. Every compartment is noisy, crowded, and filled with screams. You have two choices. Either get on every train and get engrossed in every noise or stand quietly on the platform watching. Trains are coming and going. But you are simply watching. This platform is the witness, and the trains are thoughts, emotions, desires, and the reactions arising from those desires. Entering into witness consciousness is not an action. It is a withdrawal from action. Paramahansa Yogananda told a disciple, sit in meditation every morning and simply observe, neither chant nor visualize. Simply observe who is observing, who is thinking, who is recognizing the emotion rising within. This is the search for the witness, and this search one day leads to a place where there are no thoughts, just silence, pure watching. Now, a profound question, if witnessing is so powerful, can it also eradicate disease? The answer is yes, and a profound yes. When you become a witness, the worries, pains, pressures, and tensions that have been suppressed within the body for years begin to melt away. Disease is not just of the body, disease is the result of a consciousness trapped in the past. But when a person observes those sufferings in witnessing, without fear, without suppressing them, those sufferings come to light for the first time, and that is where their end begins. Now consider, have you ever observed your own suffering? Neither hidden nor medicated. Simply observe deeply. When witnessing is combined with breathing, it ceases to be ordinary meditation. It becomes meditation, healing, purification, and liberation. Paramahansa Yogananda says that one who has sat within himself can heal himself. This is not a miracle, it is the science of consciousness which the world still ignores. So now the question arises, if witnessing cures disease, is this witnessing our original nature and have we simply forgotten it? If so, then the purpose of this entire journey is to return to the memory of our witnessing nature, because that nature is beyond disease, beyond death, beyond thoughts, and above all, beyond limitations. The root which we have lost never leaves us. It is the center of our consciousness but which we have pushed aside. When a tree begins to dry up, people look at its branches and think it is falling apart. But the real truth is that its roots have dried up. Humans are the same. When the mind is sad, when the body is sick, when the soul is silent, we think circumstances are responsible. But the truth is that we have become disconnected from our root. Now the question is, what is our root? The body is not our root because it changes with time. Neither are thoughts because they take on new forms every day. Not even emotions because they rise and fall like waves. So Yogananda used to say that your core is the witness that observes every experience. It remains constant in every change. It lives beyond every death. That core neither takes birth nor dies. It simply is. Silent, peaceful, complete. But why do we become disconnected from it? Because we run externally. We search for every answer outside. We grasp every happiness outside. We seek every solution outside. Whereas the solution lies within, and entry within is a return to the core. Now ask the soul this question. Am I connected to my core or am I simply lost in a cloud of thoughts? To connect with the core we need no pilgrimage, no scriptures, no language. All that is needed is meditation, and that meditation that goes deep into the breath. When we meditate continuously, thoughts calm down. When thoughts calm down, the silence within deepens. And when the silence deepens, a moment comes when the core reveals itself. That core has no name, no identity. There is no goal, there is only being. To be pure. Paramahansa Yogananda said that one who has realized his essence is never confused again. Whether suffering, disease, or death come, he knows all will pass, but his essence will remain steadfast. Now the question arises, can even disease be eradicated by connecting with that essence? The answer is yes. Because whatever manifests as disease is the result of distance from the core of consciousness. Just as a flower remains fresh as long as it is attached to the stem, the moment it is cut, its beauty fades away. So too, as long as we are connected to our essence, our soul, our energy remains vibrant. Our thoughts remain creative. Our body does not fight diseases but accepts them and releases them. Now imagine yourself sitting in meditation, no thoughts. No intentions, no demands, just silence, just breathing and descending with that breath you touch your essence. A vibration, a depth, a peace fills every pore of your being. Now you feel neither illness nor worry. You simply rest in the core and that rest, that silence, that breath becomes your rebirth. This life is new because you have connected to the core. As peaceful as the word rest sounds, it is actually the state where the soul returns home for the first time. In today's world, rest has become a necessity. But the rest we seek is not just for the body, it is the rest of existence. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say that it is not the body that tires, but the consciousness that tires, and when consciousness tires, it descends into the body as disease. Now the question is, have we ever experienced true rest? Probably not. Because even our rest has become an activity these days. Music, massage, vacations, sleep. But why, as soon as we wake up, is there the same tension, the same exhaustion, the same heaviness? The answer is simple, we haven't rested the consciousness. We only put the body to sleep but keep the mind and soul awake, thinking, running, entangled in the past and the future. Now ask your soul, have you ever completely stopped yourself? Simply stopped without thought, plan, or fear. That stillness, that relaxation, is the door to meditation. It is the beginning of liberation. When you feel the breath deeply, first the body calms down. Then the mind, and then the layers of consciousness begin to peel away. And as you go deeper within, you experience a dissolution, as if something is dissolving, as if the self is slowly melting away. This is no ordinary relaxation. This is the relaxation in which the self disappears and only the pure being remains. This is the same state in which Paramahansa Yogananda lived in samadhi. Relaxation? Or is it only for saints? The answer is, it is for everyone who is exhausted from within and wants to experience life no longer dragging on. But how can this relaxation be achieved? Neither by fulfilling desires nor by running away from the world. This relaxation comes when you meet the depths of your own being. As you delve into meditation, the flurry of thoughts gradually slows down. Emotions calm down and a point comes where there is no need to do anything. Simply being is enough, and that state of being is the purest rest. Now think about it. When a patient enters meditation with their breath, no special medication is injected into their body. Yet, why does they gradually begin to recover? Because their body relaxes. Their mind becomes lighter and their consciousness activates on another level, and healing occurs on that very level. Now ask your soul, do you want to reach that level where there is no need to do anything? Simply being is enough? Where breathing itself becomes the practice, and silence itself becomes the answer. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say that the greatest yoga is where the practitioner gives up striving and surrenders to rest. There is no goal, no accomplishment, no achievement. There is only rest, and this rest is the greatest healing. It is the greatest meditation. It is the greatest experience. Surrender, this word sounds as soft as it is heavy, because it conceals the dissolution of the self. Truth be told, surrender is not an action, it is a state, where a person accepts the truth within themselves that nothing is worth holding on to. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say that surrender happens when you don't just give up trying, but give up the ego of, I am doing it. This is what makes this path difficult, because we can give up everything, but giving up the I is the greatest sacrifice. Now ask your soul, have you truly surrendered, or have you simply cultivated another ego in the name of renunciation? Sometimes we make our renunciation an achievement, saying, look how much I have given up. But the day you truly give up, you won't even remember that you've given up anything. In the state of surrender, there is no calculation. There is no counting. There is only a silent faith, like a drop returning to the ocean. Now imagine when a seeker struggles with illness, they run everywhere. Medicine, advice, solutions, mantras, prayers. But when they become exhausted and silent, and one day they simply say, whatever happens now is fine. In that moment, not their body but their consciousness surrenders. And this surrender gives birth to a new energy. Why? Because there's no resistance left. There's no conflict with life. Breath flows naturally. Consciousness has become like the open sky. But the question is, does surrender mean giving up? Is it an action? No. Surrender isn't defeat. It's freedom from the ego that always sought control. When you surrender, you don't stop but instead fall into the flow. You don't pull life, but life flows through you. In Paramahansa Yogananda's practice, surrender wasn't a final stage. It was in his every breath. He said that even when you exhale, it's a surrender, and when you meditate, you merge with the whole existence. That surrender, that merging, that silence doesn't just change life. It liberates consciousness. Now ask your soul, are you fighting life or have you learned to flow with it? Because as long as you struggle with life, you will continue to create disease, suffering, fear, and imbalance. But the day you surrender, even the disease will be forced to leave you. Why? Because you are no longer against it. Now you are on your side. And this is the deepest healing. Returning to your side. Now there is no insistence, no demand, no desire, just pure silence and surrender descending into that silence. This is the state where meditation becomes natural. Where diseases begin to melt away. Where the soul smiles without reason. Surrender is no longer just a word. It has become the nature of your energy. Flow is not a river. It is a state where life begins to live on its own. We all try to hold life back. To save, to improve, to control. But have you ever allowed life to live itself? Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, as long as you seek to understand life, it will remain a mystery. But the day you let it flow, it will become an experience. Flow means seeing without stopping, feeling without binding, and forgetting while living. But this isn't as simple as it sounds because the mind is accustomed to setting a course. It wants to create something every moment, to change something, to save something, to prove something. Now ask your soul, have you ever learned to walk without any determination? Have you ever allowed life to flow in its own colors? Most people navigate life like a boat on water, constantly fearing, constantly stressing, fighting every wave. But one who has understood the flow lets go of the boat and surrenders to the water. Life no longer pulls them. They let life flow through them. Just look at the breath. It never comes, it never stops, it never goes. We neither call it nor stop it. Yet it continues in a silent, invisible flow. Now think, isn't this breath teaching us that life can be lived with the same ease? Diseases arise where the flow stops, where energy becomes stagnant, where consciousness stagnates. But the day a patient sits in meditation and simply lets their breath flow without disturbing it, simply observing as a witness, the same flow begins to break the rigidity within. This power of meditation is not the result of any particular posture or mantra. It is the power of becoming one with the flow. Now the question is, am I able to let life flow, or am I trying every moment to stop it? Because the moment we stop, that's where pain is born, and the moment we let it flow, that's where peace descends. Yogananda used to say that life isn't a puzzle. It's a music. You just have to learn to flow with its rhythm. But what does it take to flow with this rhythm? Silence, meditation, faith, and the belief that life knows more than I do what it does. This life is no longer mine. I am its medium. I'm not an effort. I am the flow. And when you understand this, there will be no disease, no sorrow, no fear. Only a vibration that will remain, which with every breath will say, I am flowing. I am free. Now, imagine, can disease grip a person who is immersed in the flow of life? No. Because now there are no obstructions within. Now their energy flows like the Ganges. A rhythm merging with the pure, calm Brahman, the invisible heartbeat of life that we cannot hear but can feel.
Thank you friends for watching my video. Please do consider to like, share and subscribe my channel for more upcoming videos. Thank you friends once again and have a nice day.